Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Now listen to me. Relly is in a precarious situation. He's going to school now in an area where, you got a mixture of kids from all different types of backgrounds. It doesn't mean that they're bad kids, that they just got different experiences growing up, right? And because of Relly's experiences growing up to this point, he starts to identify with kids that are in similar situations, right? It's almost like a magnetic pull that takes place, right? You know what I'm saying? A lot of people think, you go into any high school in America, right? And you can tell the racial breakdown pretty much by where everybody's sitting. One group of kids sat here, one group of kids sat here, so on and so forth like that there, right? You have these subsets that happen because you got athletes and academic type people and all these different types of breakdowns in that, right? But it's a racial breakdown more than anything. You feel me? And that's just what it is. It's a sad commentary, but that's what it is. But in these subsets, you have kids that do certain things and really gravitated towards those that were what he had heard about them making sense. So he wanted these guys to accept him. And these kids were rough, rugged, and raw. They had grown up fast because their parents were in prison, one or two of them. Their family member was street people. They got money and done all of these different types of things. Even though his father was doing the same thing, he was never around that. So he don't know what it is that his father really is about, how he really makes his money. But these kids do. They see their parents every day. Their parents, come home. The ones that are not in prison, they come home, but they come home, they got that bag. They might walk in the room and their dad or their mom is breaking down dope, fixing it, ready to sell, or the customers coming to the door, knocking on the door. So they got to grow up faster than most kids, right? See, most people out there, right? A lot of people that are out in the world, they don't know what it's like in the hood. They might Google it and see what's the hood. What's the projects? You feel what I'm saying? See, we don't, I don't have to Google that. I can't Google nothing. But the point I'm making is that I don't have to go on the internet to find out what it's like to be somebody that grew up in an area or around people that are rough, rugged, and raw. You feel what I'm saying? Most people in America don't know what that means, don't know what that's like. I'm talking about from personal experience. You might know somebody, but the people that grew up in that area, you talking to them as if they'll understand what it means to live a certain way or act a certain way, and you have this level of expectation on them as if they grew up in a situation similar to yours, and they can't even identify with the way you grew up no more than you can identify with them. So you saying you should know better about this and know better about that, but if you see your dad or your mama coming home and they got money on the table and dope on the table because that's what they got to do to provide for their kids, but then at the same time you telling them you need to be doing better and all this and that's how they eating. Yeah, you got a job, you making money, you got, whether it's an hourly job or some other kind of job, or you moving up in the ladder, whatever the case may be, you got to be considerate of other people's situations and how they're going and what they're going through, because that's how Relly ended up gravitating toward these kids. He could identify with the struggle, not all of the things that they were going through, because he wasn't going through that. Him and his mom lived in a decent area, right? But he could relate to the struggle of being a parent being absent. See, they thought that Relly had it way better than him. So what, your daddy ain't there? Your mama is there, and y'all live in a nice area. You can go to the refrigerator, and you don't get frostbite by opening the refrigerator. You ain't got to worry about laying down in the bed and bugs crawling over you and getting all up in your ears. Those types of things Relly couldn't identify with. But they could. But what they did have in common, y'all, was one of the parents was missing. Whether it be the mom or the dad. In most of these situations, it was the dad. And when they were around, they were not the nicest people. And they all wanted their dads to be in their life. They wanted them to be at the basketball games. They wanted them to be at the football games. They wanted them to ask them, how you doing at school? What's your grades like? And I mean it. They wanted them to help them sit down at the kitchen table and learn how to do algebra and learn how to write a paper. read the history of the country. They wanted that daddy there to do that. They wanted that daddy to be out there in the middle of the night with the sun going down and the light on the carport, helping them learn how to shoot a jumper. They want that. But they didn't get that. And really didn't get that. And they didn't either, right? So they learned that to make people see them, they were willing to do whatever. They were willing to do whatever it took to make people see them. And that sometimes required them to do something that was illegal. Now, I know a lot of y'all gonna be saying now, look, hold up. That's not an excuse. Because you going through something, that's not an excuse to be out here breaking the law, breaking in people's cars and houses and selling drugs and all this and that. And I'm gonna tell you something. I agree with you. But see, I'm a 57-year-old man. You feel me? And I've had some life experience. But 12, 13, 14-year-olds, what experiences have they had that would teach them that don't make sense? Tell me. And if you know the answer to that, hit me up in my comment section and let me know. Because I need that knowledge. You got something that ain't nobody got. But what we will say, because of their actions are grown folks' actions, we'll say that we need to hold them accountable like we hold grown folks accountable, as if they understand, when we do know that their brains are not fully developed at all. But we want them to have the accountability of an adult, somebody that's brain has been developed. You feel me? That's what we want. That's what we want. But we don't take into account what has shaped that brain. And one of the reasons that we don't, because we're afraid. Who wants to walk out and see somebody breaking into their car, or walk to their car, or come home and find all of their stuff thrown all over the floor? That is traumatizing. So don't sit there and say, Joe T, you don't get it. I get it. I get it. I totally get it. And something does have to be done. And that's why I say, listen to me, fathers. You got to be there, man. You got to be there. Because if you're there, you can offset a lot of this stuff, man, that's happening. Why? Come on, make it make sense to me that a parent is a stranger to their child. Make that make sense, man. Tell me, come on now, and I want y'all to be honest. Some of y'all men out there that's listening to the show, and some of the women too, right? I want y'all to be honest. Do you know what your child's favorite food is? Do you? Do you know what your child's favorite color is? Do you know what your child wants to be in life? When was the last time you shot some basketball with them? Played whatever sporting event, or just watched the movie with them? Or just sit around and talk to them? Just forget the money, just spend some time with them. When was the last time you did that? And see, that's what Relly wanted. And when he couldn't get it from his daddy, guess what? He got it from his peers. Now look, that's almost like the blind leading the blind. You got a bunch of 12 and 13-year-olds sitting around being supportive to each other. What you think's gonna happen? When all of them have learned together or individually that to get attention is to break something in the china shop. Come on now. Come on now. That's the lesson that they've learned. So when they go out, because their brains are not processing, when they go out and they do these types of things, they get in trouble. And that's what happened to Relly. Relly went out, and these kids that he had gravitated towards, they're a little bit smarter than him, so they put him out on Front Street when they went into the store to shoplift something. Yeah. They want to shoplift. Steal, in other words. Yeah. Steal something. They went into a store to steal some vape pens. You know what I'm talking about, these vape pens. Yeah. And when they went in there to steal these vape pens, the career criminals that they are, right? The career criminals that they are, he got caught. Yeah, he got caught. and then they called his mom. They got all three of them. But he's the one that when you look at the camera, oh yeah, it's on camera, that they're edging him on to go do it. See, it wasn't no audio, it's video, so they don't know what's being said. But they got him. And see, the codes in the streets, these three kids, they hadn't discussed that. You know, the code in the street is keep your mouth shut, right? See, they learned it from TV, watching TV, where, you know, you hear this stuff, but you don't understand what that means when you really caught in the thick of it. Why do you keep your mouth shut? Take your own lick, this and that. See, you don't learn what that's about. You don't learn the backstory to that, right? So when they saw this on the video, the police knowing that, because they got a little bit of experience, life experience, you know, security guard. So before the parents get down there, they separate them. They started to get them to talk, and all of them talking. And the other two that were a little bit faster than Relly, they said he did it. But when you look at the tape says he did it. But when they went to talk to Relly said they told me to do it. Now see, all of them are pointing at each other, right? They kids. But one thing that they do know about the code is that the person that's telling is a snitch. And there are consequences for a snitch, which is what? Snitches get stitches. We've all heard that. But these are kids. And this grown folks concept, though, is what's setting on them now. Right? This is a grown folk concept. People have died for that idiotic code, y'all. They have died because of it. And now this code is being put on Relly. Because, see, the security guard that was running back and forth talking to him, he's just trying to do his job to get the story so he'll know what to do. He's telling each one of them, well, such and such said this and such and such said that. So now they starting to piece it together. And wait a minute. Everybody knows what happened. So the two that put him up to it know that if he's saying something, he the snitch. See, the one that gets caught with the product, is the one that's got to bear the responsibility of the code, y'all. Huh? He got to wear that. He got to go down without. He can't say nothing. He can't say nothing. Because the other two said, look at the camera. They know. They know ain't no audio. They know them folks can't hear them putting him up to that. And the only reason he went to do it is he wants to be accepted. See, he's not being accepted by his daddy. Right? Even though he was accepted by his uncle, his mama's boyfriend, the pastor. He wants to be accepted by his daddy. And because he wasn't being accepted by his daddy, with all of the idiotic stuff that he was doing, he does something idiotic and he gets accepted by his friends. But wait a minute, friends, they're not really his friends. See, they grew up a little faster. And out of their pain and anger and frustration and despair, they've learned to put people in situations where misery love company. He ain't from where we from. He ain't like us. You understand what I'm saying? As Kendrick Lamar would say. So they want to bring him down a peg or two, right? Crabs in a barrel. You feel me? Self-hatred. Let's send him out. This sucker. And if he makes it through, then yeah, he can vibe with us because then he'll have to do what we say. See, the psychology of what's happening to them two is worse than what's happening to Relly because it's teaching them to manipulate and use people and have people in situations where they pull down to where they see themselves at. So now they got him. They got him. Now his mom gets there. She goes there. All of the parents get there. And she goes in and she talks to him and all this. And he tells her the truth. Then the other parents get there and they tell their parents the truth, right? And now all the parents come out with the kids and they're all yelling at each other. And then they're calling Relly a snitch. And Relly said, I ain't snitching on nobody. Y'all know what you did. And then the parents of the other two kids, they're calling Relly a snitch and then calling his mama a snitch too. Tiresome, ain't it? Tiresome. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, man. Once that label gets put on you, it's almost impossible to get off, rightly or wrongly. So she makes a mistake again because she doesn't know what else to do. Because she knows the reason that he's doing this. She calls his daddy. She calls his daddy and tells his daddy what's going on. And this time, He gets right in the car and he comes down. Police? No. When he comes down, he berates her in front of him. He talks crazy to her in front of him, right? And for whatever reason, she takes it. Now, Relly's watching this, and it's almost like some kind of program was being uploaded into his brain. Huh? My daddy disrespects women. I'm going to disrespect women. I'm going to do this too. That's what my daddy does. Oh, wait a minute. What is this? So now, Relly's daddy takes him with him. He goes back to the state that he's from. And he's telling him all the way down there, look, if you want to be a man, I'm going to show you how to be a man. But you can't play no games with this. So he breaks down to him about the snitching thing, all this, and then for the first time, and he gets him down there, he shows him what he actually does. Idiot. Shows him what he actually does. He shows him that he sells drugs. And he starts to tell him all of these things about life and all this and that, and how you can be a successful drug dealer. What? Yeah. Now, see, this is when you take an advantage. For sure. He ain't never wanted to be in this boy's life whatsoever. Never wanted to be in this boy's life. And now he wants to introduce him to the game. Want to know why? Because he sees his son as somebody that he can manipulate. He's only a piece to the puzzle. He's not his son no more. His son wants to be out there, he gonna use him. And he's telling his son all this and all that, right? And he gives his son a little weed, and after the weekend he takes him back to his mom, and he takes the weed to school and he sells it, and then he gets caught again. He's not good at being a criminal. And they ask him, where did he get it? I ain't got nothing to say. He plays the role. His mama knows though. And his mama calls his dad and she tells him, she said, my son ain't going to jail for you. He ain't going to jail for you. Now here's the thing. See, Relly's outside the bedroom and he's listening. And his mom, she got the phone on intercom, but not to let anybody hear, but because she's walking around, she's pacing in the room, and she didn't want to have the phone up to her ear, but Relly can hear everything that his dad is saying. And his dad is saying how he really feels. He said he want to be stupid. He said, I'm going to treat him just like I treat anybody that work for me. They're going to be out there in the streets. And if he go to jail, he know to keep his mouth shut. He said, that's just what it is. You raised him the wrong way. So I'm going to use him. I'm going to make his life out of something. I'm not going to just waste it. And she's yelling at him, you foul, just all kind of names. But see, Relly's hearing all of this. He's hearing it all. And he slides down the wall and he starts to cry. And his mom, you know, mama can hear her child a mile away, you know what I'm saying, in a crowd of noise, you feel me? She heard it. And she hung up the phone and she ran out of her room and he was right there. He heard it all. And she, you know, she looked at him, but in her mind, she's like, he needed to hear that. He needed to hear how he really felt about it. He don't love him. He needed to hear the truth. Because he's got to make a choice with his life. What is he going to do? What is he going to do? Because this is the turning point. This is the turning point. So he goes to court. And in chambers, in front of the judge and his lawyer and his mama and the social worker, he tells them the truth. What happened and how he's lashing out. And this judge has sympathy for him. This judge understood because this judge had a similar background. And he told him, he said, my daddy wasn't there for me either, but look what happened to me. Look how it turned out. And the judge told him, he said, man, listen to me. I need you to make it to 16, man. Because he said, when you get 16, you're going to see. You're going to start to see things different. And if you want to know how this plays out, you're going to have to tune in to the next episode, y'all. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.